Hello and welcome to Lecture 2A. We are going to be looking at Chapter 1 in your Language and Literacy book. Chapter 1 is entitled Foundations of Early Literacy. We are going to be looking at the meaning of early literacy, examples of what emergent literacy looks like, early literacy identified by research, by brain research, play is learning, and also looking at the NAEYC standards in a curriculum and appropriate technology in the preschool classroom. Again, remember that we are looking at Standard 1, which is promoting child development. We are looking at how basically to create healthy environments in language and literacy within the classroom, supportive environments in the early childhood classroom in language and literacy, support respectful and challenging environments in early childhood education environments in language and literacy. So first of all, to incorporate that, we are going to have to begin to learn what is the meaning of that and what are some of these topics that they keep talking about. Well, actually, literacy, right from the start, infants are trying to communicate with you and around you through their crying and through their cooing, through their smiling and through their babbling. So literacy actually begins at birth. A lot of people don't see that component, and when they begin to look at children, they think, oh, when you start kindergarten, you're going to start learning how to read your ABCs, and you start to read when you're in first and second grade. And actually, communication and literacy actually begin at birth. Dr. Brazelton, who is one of the well-known gurus of early childhood education, has done an extended research project on this very component of a baby, an infant, and its parent, and the communication that happens there, or vice versa, the lack of communication between the adult and the child, and the repercussions or the wonderful flowers that bloom from the good experience that the child had. So, for most of us, literacy means that like I said, being able to read and write. But that's not true. Early literacy, therefore, means that young children can learn to read and write naturally before they enter kindergarten or first grade, where they receive formal instruction. The correct answer to this is quite different today from what it was many, many years ago. Your book says that today's research shows us how reading and writing can develop naturally in a continuum from infancy onward as young children make sense of their world through playful exploration. It shows how children's brains take in this information, extracting their own rules from it to help them learn. It also shows how teachers and other adults around children can build on children's own ideas, which is called scaffolding, to help them develop the skills necessary for reading and writing. Such research has changed our minds forever about the way children develop and how we can best support their learning. So how can we best support their learning in early childhood in language and literacy? Well, there's a term that is on our agenda today, and it's called Emergent Literacy. And it describes the professional definition of emergent literacy, describes children's natural development of reading and writing skills. Your book quotes Siegel, and he describes this as a 3-year-old child who pretends to read, holds the book correctly, retells the story, and turns the pages more or less at the right time as displaying a high level of emergent reading. I was so blessed the other day when, in fact, a grandmother walked up to me and she said to me, "Oh, Miss Maria, you would just love to see my grandson Carter. He is so cute. He is 2.5 years old. He picks up a book and he looks at the book and he makes his own stories up, turns the page, and at the end he says, the end, close the book, go night-night." After all of those nights reading to Carter night after night, showing him the pictures, having our finger follow along with the words, turning the page at the right time, at the end saying, the end, good night, go night-night, Carter. Carter has learned what emergent literacy is. That's what we want from our children. Brain research has also shown us that there are circuits in the brain that are set up for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers to emerge naturally into speaking the language they hear spoken to them, which is very interesting because you can take a child who is Hispanic by ethnicity, place them into an American daycare, and speak English to them, and they learn English. But you would say, but they're Hispanic. But if we place that child in a Hispanic daycare, what language would they learn? See, it's very important. We must remember by child development that Piaget tells us that our children from birth to 2 are in a very sensory mode of bout of learning. They are very sensory integrated. That means that their hearing, their tasting, their seeing, their smelling, their touching are very, very important